And ladies and gentlemen, that was a refreshing beverage I just drank out of. Welcome to the Two Schmo Show. I'm your host, the infamous Ryan, and I'm a Schmo.
I'm Cairo, and I'm also a Schmoes.
And yeah, nitro cold brew Starbucks drinks, not bad.
I have a kickstart.
I have no
Who would have
idea.
seen this coming?
I have no idea how mine sounded over the microphone, but yours was just like glug slip glug.
Yeah,
It was,
I definitely did that a bit too much, but it's whatever.
I tried being subtle, but you were like, no, fuck it.
No, slurp, slurp, slurp.
Slurp. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Two Schmo Show. Tonight on the Two Schmo Show, 1 week later, and Russia is still hanging out in the Ukraine like fucking punks. Um,
Yeah, honestly, I think some of the most interesting stuff that's happened over the last couple of days isn't really related to the fighting. Um, but I'll be talking about this, but I am not planning to buy any gas from Shell in the near future.
yeah, it's been real political this week. Like all the shock
Mm-hmm.
and awe is gone, and now if you follow politics, that's the only real story of this now.
Yep.
Um, also, na 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 Batman's out.
Yes. It's probably, I don't think it's not any exaggeration to say that this is the biggest tonal departure we've had in a Batman movie yet. Like if people were surprised by the Dark Knight trilogy compared to Batman's before it, they are going to be like crying in their seats at how bleak this one is.
One of us has watched it, the other has not. Can you guess who?
Yes.
Okay. Where do we even begin? Do you want to start with Russia or do you want to
Okay.
go to the Batman?
Let's do Russia Ukraine updates
Yeah. Okay.
because
That's real news.
not a not a ton of um like on the ground kinds of updates
Yeah.
in Ukraine. Russia has continued to stall out in their advancement from the north and from Belarus. The advancement that they're doing in the east is just kind of the same thing where it's kind of stalled out, but there has been a lot ongoing in the south towards the Black Sea at the port cities in particular.
I wonder why.
And yeah, right. The big news that came out this week was that a very brief ceasefire was agreed to that was supposed to allow people, especially civilians in Mariupol, to evacuate and further into Ukraine. I gotta see if I can find it. It was some really scummy moves on Russia to no one's surprise, but before the term of what they had discussed ahead of time for the ceasefire had expired, the Russians basically said that what was it? Because I'm gonna try and find it real quick because they phrased it in a very specific way that was complete bullshit.
Okay.
So I gotta just find it real quick. Um, but on the other side of it, it's ended up being that there's tons of these civilians that were trying to escape the city under this ceasefire that were suddenly caught in the middle of crossfire when shelling resumed from the Russians.
That's so bad.
Yep.
Um, I don't know about you, but I'm also checking the updates right now. Apparently, according to Russia, the Ukraine is making a dirty bomb in Chernobyl. You know that place they lost
Yes.
somewhat recently?
Yeah, that they lost, that they gave up holding immediately because it's a desolate nuclear wasteland.
That no one can really live in or occupy.
Yeah.
So let's just go make a dirty bomb there. You know? What the fuck, Russia? That's not even. Oh my god! Did you see that fake video of Putin talking with like a whole bunch of politicians, and then like out of nowhere he like moves his hand too fast. You can see it's green screened.
No, I haven't.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can find this. But go on with any updates. This is
Yep.
gonna be my
Yep.
new
Yep.
project.
Yeah, there's been a lot of incremental stuff, continued actions by various world governments, securing Russian oligarch assets. There is a particularly amusing a story that I found particularly amusing of President Zelensky has apparently survived 3 assassination attempts this last week, and people were drawing comparisons to a Tito quote when the Soviet states were sending assassins to kill him, where Tito to Stalin said, "Stop sending people to kill me. If you don't stop sending people to kill me, I'll send one to Moscow and I won't have to send another."
That's
It's
amazing.
same vibes. Same vibes.
Beautiful.
Other major thing on the ground was that Ukrainian troops have seized Russian documents from Russia's 810th Brigade discussing that has pertinent information about the Russian plans. Whether or not these are legitimate or not is hard to say, but it's the kind of thing where there's no reason to believe that they're not yet. And in this case, these documents confirmed what was kind of already known, that the Russian invasion was only expected to last 15 days. It was only supposed to need 15 days. And we're 2 weeks in now, and that, of course, has not been the case.
Yeah, they just need better planning, you know? Um, I just cannot get over this. The video is now in our chat. So,
Yep, I'm looking at it.
yeah. I don't understand how this
Oh,
wasn't caught because that's pretty obviously a green screen when he starts flailing his hand around like a.
yeah, it clips through the microphone. That would be. I don't know why it would be like that, though.
I think they just made it fast. They needed something to like disprove the campaign, like they couldn't do an alternate take. Um, Another thing I've heard is that Russia started detaining a couple of the citizens for spreading
For sure.
fake news about the war going on.
Yep. Oh, here is the one. Putin threatens Ukraine with loss of statehood if Ukraine continues to behave like this.
What?
If you stop refusing our invasion, we're gonna invade you. Watch out. Like, come on.
That's a naughty, naughty state, Ukraine.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That is like,
There's been a bunch of that. That's just clear bullshit.
well, yeah. What I find amazing is going on Twitter now and like wake up first thing in the morning. There's just fucking pro-Russian hashtags all over Twitter from the Russian bots. It's kind of
Hmm.
amazing. Have we weeded out more of those people in America who are very pro Putin on the media yet?
You mean like all of Fox News?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always so weird.
It is. It's not surprising though. They, you know, uh, our last president made moves to try to remove the U.S. from NATO.
Yeah,
So it's no wonder what side they're on. It's been kind of an open secret that there are substantial financial ties between certain predominantly Republican politicians and Russian associates, we'll say.
you mean Russian oil
So
barons?
So the allegation always used to be with regard to Trump that he was basically fronting as a business for the Russian mafia in New York.
That's beautiful.
It's of course never been confirmed, but that was always the assumption because nothing else really made sense with how much money he was bleeding every year.
Russia is such a weird entity in the world, and I liked it better when we weren't paying attention to them. Because, like, it is such an oligarchy. And I'm not saying we're much better, but
Mm-hmm.
at least I can't pay as close of attention to the oligarchiness as, I can to the Russian. Because they don't
Yep.
bother hiding it.
I do think it would be an amusing change if we started to call American and British and any non-Russian individuals in the same situation oligarchs as well,
Oh, yeah, of course.
because there's definitely some hypocrisy in there that we don't.
Oh, you mean like the Clintons?
Hmm.
Clintons are
Well,
oligarchs.
no, more than that, really.
Oh yeah,
They're
you're right, but I
small fish, but yeah, same idea. Like the Koch brothers, they're
yeah,
prime example.
I guess
Oil
I
barons
chose
with more money
them.
than God.
I chose them because more people are known to know the Clintons than they are the Koch brothers.
It's true.
Yeah, politics is fucking scary, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And speaking of oil, the big news that I was seeing this week was with regard to Shell, who was accused publicly on Twitter of having discreetly bought Russian oil and then confirmed themselves in a statement that the decision to purchase the fuel at a discounted price was difficult and that they had bought a cargo of Russian crude oil on Friday because they had no alternative.
Really,
Yep, that's what they said. They
Putin
they really said that.
did Putin just have like a gun up to their head and just say, you buy mine oil, yes? No.
Hmm.
Oh my god. They're just trying to help some poor underdogs. You know, economically, they're just doing so poorly there.
This is the really frustrating part for me. As in the statement, the spokesperson said, to be clear, without an uninterrupted supply of crude oil to refineries, the energy industry cannot assure continued provisions of essential products to people across Europe over the weeks ahead. No shit. That's kind of the point.
Yeah,
Like, I'm sorry, how much oil is the US actually importing at this point? Why do we have $4 a gallon gas?
good point.
You know, it's not the first time that civilians across the world would have to go through particular hardships locally in order to support moral actions abroad. Like, that's a cost that people should be willing to pay.
Yeah, I believe the last time we did that was World War II because
Yeah,
Liberty
fucking
Gardens.
carpool.
Yeah.
Not that hard of a concept.
Ugh. I'm pretty blessed because I work from home, so I haven't bought gas in I want to say since 2021. Yeah. I've not bought gas at all this year, and we're in the beginning of March. Well, actually, no, sorry. I did fill up a couple gas cans that weren't mine because I'm just saving so much money from not getting gas that I've just bought some people some gas. Um, so never mind on that. But personally, with my own personal vehicle, have not need to buy gas yet.
Yep. Very frustrating, especially amidst all of the very effective actions being taken around the world by particular entities. I would love to see um, Shell be sanctioned to hell and back over this for purchasing Russian oil, but we'll see if that actually happens.
Too big, not enough.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for? Good boy points in sanctioning them.
Yep.
Ooh,
But as an individual, as a result of that, I am definitely going to be not purchasing from Shell gas stations for the next weeks or so, pretty much as long as I can avoid it.
yeah. Last time I checked. Oh shit. Um, I was gonna play a little game of how much do you think the Russian ruble goes for right now, but it looks like they had a major jump.
Oh, did they?
Damn it, Shell. It's still not great, but it's okay.
It still shows pretty low for me. Like
Um,
it's up from where it's absolute dregs that it was, but
I mean, yeah, it's relatively higher than what it was. It's only like a penny right
like
now.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the month long tracking,
Yeah.
it's clearly still very far down.
It's just absolute hell. I love how you can just see like the moment they started getting near Ukraine and then they invaded Ukraine.
Yeah.
Just absolutely beautiful. I love economics. I d-
Sanctions work. I know a lot of people don't like it because of, oh, it, hurts the civilians rather than the actual people. And it's like, sure, like you have three options, right? You can do a war, you can do nothing, or you can do economic warfare,
mm-hmm.
which, would you know, generally results in less people dying than actual war.
I agree.
But there's still people who really struggle to understand that, it seems.
Well, there are some people who just I like to call them economist cultists who believe that their money is worth more than everyday
Hmm.
life.
Yep.
And I think it's just a general desensitization from war because let's face it, we're a couple of generations away from like knowing
Hmm.
true war in this country.
Mm. Yes, locally, yes.
Yes, that's kind of what I mean.
Yep.
Um, it's not. I don't know. I think the U.S. is very egotistical in how we look at foreign
Yeah.
affairs and how it regards to us. So
Yeah.
when they see the economic stuff like in their backyard, that's going to leave more of an impression because well, that's the only frame of reference they have in general warfare.
There has been a particular trend on major news sources with their coverage of the ongoing war in Ukraine that gives a very clear picture of their mentality towards the difference between what's going on in Ukraine right now compared to like what's happened in Syria or Iraq or Iran. You know,
Because of white
pick
people.
one.
Yeah.
Where there's this recurring line of how, this is some of them were particularly egregious. Talking about how this is war in Europe, in a first world country. This isn't in a developing nation. Like, just really bluntly insulting terminology.
Hmm. I mean, personally, it didn't sit right with me just seeing the reaction to the Ukrainian invasion from Russia um
You know,
versus well, fucking what's been going on in Africa. But
yep.
what
Which is another one of the direct things that they said.
I I think it's
I
a
have a clip that I retweeted on my Twitter, Carl WCR, of a Trevor Noah piece that he did talking about this. That does a really good job of compiling a half dozen or so instances that this happened recently
hmm
that are not particularly egregious, but are very emblematic of the faulty mentality that people seem to have.
yeah. Well, I think it's just too many degrees of separation. You know. Um.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It is systemic racism.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's systemic racism stemming from too many degrees of separation. It's hard for some people, not saying what kind of people, who look at people who don't look like them to feel empathy. And it's not really going to make many people turn to the news. And let's face it, Putin's kind of a household name in politics, whereas most people can't identify where Sudan or Syria are on the map.
Mm-hmm. There's a reason that John Oliver does have you seen his map skits, jokes that he does?
No, please go on.
He has a recurring piece that he does where he'll be talking about a non-white country almost exclusively, and he'll have a picture of like where on a global map that country is
Hmm.
up in the little box next to him. And the running joke is that that's not the actual country that's highlighted because 99% of people don't know shit about geography. So it'll be like a neighboring country.
You know what they made us do in like fifth grade at my middle school? No, I'm
Mm.
sorry, like seventh or eighth grade, I think.
So,
They had us hand draw fucking maps to learn our geography, and it sucked.
yeah, we did some similar stuff. I'll say it sucked, but it worked.
Yeah,
I have a very, as an adult now, I have a very firm grasp on like not like absolute geography, but like relative.
yeah,
If you throw out a country name, there's a pretty good idea that I'll know the region at least that you're talking about to the degree that I could point it out like within two or three adjacent countries next to each other.
yeah. I mean, I feel like I have the same grasp, but then I started playing Wordle. Do you know about Wordle?
I have not heard about Worldle, but I'm
It,
gonna look that up now.
it's Wordle, but with countries, where they give you the outline of a country and you have to guess which country it is.
Worldle.
I got very upset because the first one I got was Czechnia, and guess who got that wrong?
Can't imagine.
It was me. It was me. I got
Do
it
you have a
wrong.
link to it? It's just giving me Wordle.
I know. That's what I'm trying to figure out
Thinks
as
it's a
well.
typo.
I think it's got like is this it? No, that's not it. I think it's got like a different l- like a bit link instead of traditional Google
I
one.
I found it. Yep.
Oh, let me play. Where'd you find it?
So I found a Washington Post article that was talking about it,
Oh,
but I had to Google Wordle geography version
oh,
because when you Google Wordle, it just thinks you're trying to say Wordle and autocorrects it.
it's so fucked up how like that game got so big, and I don't even think it's that good. You ever play Wordle?
Oh yeah, for a while I did.
Yeah,
Kind of fell off of it once New York Times bought it, but
same.
up until then.
I thought it was a good like brain exercise first thing in the morning, but that's kind of like about it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. One of the other variants that I played was a math version of it
Hmm.
where you were given six numbers and an answer, and you had to arrange the six numbers you were given in order with operations to get them to the unknown target answer.
That's really cool.
It was. You definitely have to be kind of person that uh, cares about math to think about it. But as someone who does, I was really impressed with it.
I'm terrible with numbers. I think I'm like partially dyslexic for numbers because I keep mixing them up, and it would make sense of why was so bad at math. Um, but I still respect math a lot because I wish I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you? Oh, there's the link. Okay, what's
Yep,
the?
should be there.
Oh shit, I don't know this country. Fuck. Um, you see, the country that I'm currently looking at is very straight edged on like the
Yep.
northwest side of it. So immediately I'm thinking the British had something to do with this, which probably means it's somewhere in Africa because
That was my thought too.
Those Brits really like their straight edge territories. Um, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat. I'm going to pick a country I know is like near the center of Africa and try to pick out which side it's on. 91%. Oh wow, I'm very close. Damn. Um, so it's got to be like the next country over from Ethiopia. Are you? Is what I'm thinking.
87. I'm close, but I'm like missing something.
Oh my gosh, it's so close. What is it?
This is part of the problem. Is that like it's like, oh yeah, I know roughly where that is,
Yeah.
but like narrowing it down, there's a very much an unfamiliarity to it. It's like, oh, is it South Africa? No.
So I think this is more along the lines of the east side because that's kind of like where I like to start.
Yep.
Plus, I also know the
Yep,
east
it
side a little
is.
bit better. I got it.
Yep.
Would you like to know what it is, Cairo?
No, I know what it is.
Oh, damn.
I got there. Just in the end.
Geography, guys. We're good at it.
Geography's fun.
It was my
Did
favorite
you
class.
hear
What's up?
about the new Ducati road bike?
No, but go on.
So Ducati, of course, mostly makes motorcycles.
Mm-hmm.
This is an e-bike, which I believe is like a cross between a pedal bike and electric.
Okay.
The only reason that it's actually getting some discussion around it is because of the name. Apparently, no one at Ducati is younger than 35. And
Okay.
you at home will be able to tell how familiar you are with the internet by whether or not you know what this word commonly refers to.
Oh God.
They decided to call their new road bike the Futa.
What?
Like, exact same spelling and everything.
Why?
And if you want to know more, players at home, open up an incognito tab and search away because we're not talking about it on this show past that.
It's real. What? I didn't
Yeah,
believe
no,
you.
this is completely real.
Oh no. Oh my gosh. I yeah, I can't wait to tell my parents I want a Fuda for
Yep.
Christmas and then have them Google that.
You know, the jokes have, of course, been great. One of my favorites here was somebody who said, the Futa is receiving praise for being, quote, the best of both worlds and is an unforgettable ride.
No. Oh,
Innuendo abound.
that scares me. So many grandparents, so many parents. Everybody's gonna, yeah, everybody's gonna. This is the death of innocence.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thankfully, the Ducati pedal bicycle market seems to be pretty small.
So one of us has seen the Batman. I wonder who.
Yes, guess who?
Me.
Of course.
I almost saw it before the show, but it's a 3 hour long movie, and I would not have been here on time.
Yeah. I almost wish it was longer, which is a weird thing to say.
You know what I really want at this point?
Hmm.
We've had so many superhero movies. I was going to call them dumb, but not all superhero movies are created equal. Um,
Yep.
when are we going to get a good live action TV show outside of Daredevil for like one of the big three, like Superman, Batman, or Spider Man?
As profitable as movies seem to be, I'd be surprised if we did, you know?
Yeah, but I'm.
Well, no, I guess technically they did do a I don't know how Batman related it was, but they'd had Gotham or whatever it was.
I thought that was just like the Gotham PD. I'm not sure.
I know that that's what it was centered on, but I don't. I never saw it, so
Yeah,
I can't say.
I'm just saying
But
there's
I guess we're getting the Spider-Man one, right?
the cartoon one. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about
Yeah.
that. I want a good like live action drama series
Hmm.
one. Like give it the Daredevil treatment because Daredevil best superhero show there is, hands down. No fighting, no um
Yep.
you have to watch
I
that when
really
it's
want them to give it the like Falcon and the Winter Soldier thing. Take established characters on a side story that wouldn't work for a movie.
yeah. I mean like they've
Doesn't
obviously
need to be
started
anything more than that.
dabbling into movies. I mean sorry, stories that are not specifically formatted for movies, which I'm happy with. And I just want them to do it like a bigger property. Cause like the Marvel show's been side characters so far, getting more spotlight.
Yep. So we'll talk about this, I think, more later in the show.
Okay.
But when Marvel really leaned in on WandaVision and Loki, we talked about how they were really cool as long as you didn't need to watch them to understand what was going on.
Yes.
And we've very quickly gotten to that point where you need to watch the TV shows to understand what's going on. And I'm not super stoked about that.
Neither am I. But
Yeah.
we'll get to that later. How was the Batman?
Yes. The Batman is very good. It's very, very good.
That's kind of what
It
I've been
is
hearing. It's like
it is a slow, plotting crime noir detective film
is
that
it
just happens to have that detective be Batman.
that's kind of what I was about to ask.
Hmm.
So I'll share a little bit of my history of the character. I'm not a fan of Batman movies outside like the Dark Knight trilogy, but I am a big fan of the Batman comics. Um, I especially like the more noir takes, and that's why I've been excited for in this movie. I've been avoiding it because I don't want like my expectations to be shattered by it being more superhero movie esque than I want
Yes.
it to be.
And
Batman,
it is not at all.
Batman and Daredevil are two of my favorite superheroes because they're not superheroes; they're noir figures who just
Yep.
happen to have costumes,
Hmm.
and that's what I was getting with the one trailer for this movie I've seen.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
So there's
yes,
two two big things with this movie aside from the actual story of it. The
okay,
first is that before the movie actually started, they replaced their like DC Universe trailer that they had before, same way that Marvel has, with kind of a teaser for the upcoming DC movies that are expected for like the next calendar year or two.
mm-hmm.
And included in that was this the Batman.
The Batman.
To me, confirming that this is now the Batman that is going to be represented in the larger DC cinematic universe.
Okay,
And along with that means that this is different from Joker,
I see.
for better or worse. The Joker movie that we had is really good, but it's probably for the best that it's kind of staying its own self-contained thing.
I think what really does this movie and Joker some justice. Granted, I've only seen one of these movies. Is that they lean more to that noir grounded feel. Um, when
Yep.
Batman is one of those properties that can get really ridiculous really fast if you let it.
Yep. The other side of that is that even though the how do you even describe it? The aesthetics that they present are set more in like a past setting.
Mm-hmm.
This is very much a movie set in the current day. It's not taking place in the 40s or the 80s. It's taking place in 2020. There just happens to be those old elements that are evocative of those time periods.
I see. So like,
Because that was a big question that I had in the trailer because when they show off the Batmobile, it is very clearly built up from a classic muscle car,
ooh,
which gave me the thought of like, oh, is this happening in the 70s or the 80s? And it's not. That's just how they decided to make the Batmobile for this.
interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't know what quite to ask you without spoilering. I guess
Yeah.
we'll go from the beginning. How is the story in its 3 hour long glory?
The thing that I want to talk about is the pacing of it
Okay.
because the pacing of it is very slow and plotting, but it's consistent through the whole thing. It doesn't have pacing problems, but it's paced way slower than any other movie I think I've seen in a long time, where you have long scenes of almost silence, where you'll have one or two characters interjecting with short pieces of dialogue as the scene itself is allowed to be absorbed. You have these scenes where Batman, being in more of a detective role, is observing and analyzing what he's looking at, and you, the audience, are doing the same thing.
Okay. With that being said,
Yeah.
could you um participate in the mystery as well? Is there an actual mystery to this, or is this just a detective movie?
It's more of a detective movie than an overarching mystery.
Okay.
The whole thing with the main villain, I don't think it's a secret that the villain in this is the Riddler.
Yeah.
Um, the main thing with the Riddler is, of course, that he has his riddles. And while there is an overarching question that I guess you could consider to be a mystery of sorts, but I felt that the answer to it was a bit obvious and kind of intentionally so because that's part of what the characters are grappling with is the possibility of what if this is the answer to the question being presented.
Mm-hmm.
So there is definitely a larger question that they're trying to come to an answer to that is framed by the various acts that the Riddler takes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'll be upfront. I like this interpretation of the Riddler.
Hmm.
Um, I think
It's
putting
a
it,
really modern take on it, honestly.
yeah, there's like a very Zodiac influence from it, from what I've seen
Yep,
in the one trailer I saw.
absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. There's a very heavy emphasis on how someone that is the Riddler in the current day can use and manipulate social media to garner the attention that they're looking for
so there is like a social media aspect to it.
at times.
Uh,
It is a tool that the Riddler uses in addition to the rest of his arsenal.
I see. I mean, to be honest, that's probably what a modern day Zodiac would do, though. So, like,
Hmm.
because clearly the Zodiac wanted attention, he was very sensational about
Yep.
presenting himself that way. So, if
Yep.
you're going to
Yep.
build a character around that in these modern
Mhm.
times, of course, it's going to be something like that.
Think about how in The Dark Knight, the
Hmm.
Joker used the current forms of media to the fullest extent in order to convey his messages.
Yeah.
The Riddler does the same in this, using the forms of social media that are available that weren't available in past histories of superhero type movies of this type.
Now you're giving me the idea of Heath Ledger's Joker doing like a TikTok dance.
Mm, yeah, I mean, just about.
Bat talk. I'd watch that. Um,
I'll say the
yes.
big problem that I do have with this though is that even because the pacing is slow and works and necessitates it being this long to tell the whole story, it feels to me like they had to cut some stuff just to get it down to 3 hours. And I would love for there to be like a director cut of this that adds about 20 minutes to the start to help kind of build up to where it is. I think this would be a movie that would greatly benefit from almost like a prologue.
Question: does this do
Mhm.
the tired Batman origins?
It does not, but I think
Good.
it would be better for it if it had.
Okay.
They don't have an explicit scene talking about, how everybody knows how Martha and Thomas Wayne died. There's not an explicit scene like that because everyone knows already.
Hmm.
It was the same thing that we praised Homecoming for not doing that because everybody knows broad strokes how Batman got to be where he is at this point, just because it's part of the common cultural understanding of the superhero.
Hmm.
But for the narrative purposes of this movie, I think it would have been helpful for them to have something there just for the structure of it.
I see.
One thing, the very opening part of it, um, is jarring in a good way, in that it immediately kind of puts you on edge. But I don't think that would have been lost if they gave more of a proper introduction showing how this Gotham and this Batman is different, particularly from Christian Bale's Batman.
So, is it comparable to Christian Bale's Batman or Batflack?
No, I would
Nope.
not say so.
Okay, so this is very much its own style and theming.
Yep.
Okay.
The extent that there are similarities is that they have the same name and there is a presence of the Waynes in downtown Gotham. And that's basically it.
Okay.
Broad stroke stuff is the same, but the actual character itself is very distinct. One of the
Interesting.
best ways that I heard it described is that Christian Bale is the best Bruce Wayne we've had, but Pattinson might be the best Batman we've had.
From what I understand, he spends a lot of this movie as Batman and very little as Bruce Wayne. Is that true?
Yes, it's like 90-10, if not more so.
Wow.
Hmm.
Hmm. So, I guess let's address the elephant in the room. How is Battinson?
Very good, I thought.
Yeah.
There's definitely things that can continue to be improved on, particularly, but I think that's more um, the cinematography than himself. Him as Batman works really well. I don't have any problems with him in the role that he has.
Understandable. Understandable.
Yeah.
Um, so I understand this movie has Penguin in it as well. Is that true?
To a lesser degree, yes.
Okay.
Penguin is definitely one of the sort of named villains that they have as part of the host.
Okay. I'll just
Yep.
drop it at there because like I know he's supposed to be in the movie, but I don't know much about his role in the movie.
Yep.
I
Penguin is in there. Do you know who plays him?
know.
I would encourage you not to look it up until after you've seen it
Okay.
because I had forgotten, and then I saw the credits and I saw someone's name in the credits and I was like, "Wait, who the hell were they? They were Penguin? What?" Because they do a substantial amount of like facial prosthetics to
Really
make him into the Penguin and it works really well.
interesting.
You know,
So it's not Danny DeVito. Got it.
it is not Danny DeVito, no.
He was the OG Penguin.
Also, Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon,
Yeah.
is great for this movie. I don't think Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon would have worked as this James Gordon in like the Christian Bale Batman's,
Mhm.
but given the tone that's set, his character fits into what that role has kind of been molded to for this film very, very well.
So, in my opinion, Jim Gordon's probably the most underrated character in Batman. So, I'm
Yep.
kind of excited to see a movie that's more focused around him.
Yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily more focused, but they definitely have the very positive dynamic of Batman being the kind of private eye detective type
Hmm.
and Gordon being very much the cop, and the dynamic of them trying to work together given how they're on sort of different sides of the law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I also hear Falcone is in this. Can you confirm or
He
deny that?
is.
Okay.
He is in the Yep, yep,
Okay. A lot. My two favorite Batman stories are focused around Falcone, so
yep.
I'm excited for that. Anything else you would like to highlight? Oh wait, no. Catwoman. How is she?
Zoe Kravitz did a very good job.
Yeah,
Yep.
Zoe Kravitz. That's her name.
I think the costume looks a bit awkward, but Zoe Kravitz acting and portrayal of the role is very good.
Hmm.
Yep.
Understandable. Any other feelings you want to like get out of your mind about this movie?
Trying to think what I can say without spoilers.
Mm.
I'm skimming through the image gallery, seeing if anything jumps out to me. I will say that I think it's hard to understate how dark the movie gets, like tonally. It's very deserving of it. Oh wait, it's got a PG-13. I'm shocked it's a PG-13 because there's not a ton of explicitly shown violence, but there's enough implied that it doesn't leave much to the imagination, if that makes sense.
Okay.
It paints a very clear picture, just shy of showing you that picture.
I just looked up the Zoe Kravitz Catwoman costume, and I see what you mean.
Yeah, the mask is a little awkward. It's fine for what it is, given that this is not a Catwoman with unlimited resources, just
Hmm.
making do with the resources she have. It's effective. But it's like, I don't even know how to describe it. It looks awkward. That's all I can say.
So, when's Robin coming in?
So I will say, as far as I could see, Robin is not mentioned in this at all.
I kind of figured as much.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny to have a movie this dark and then to have like Robin, the boy wonder, show up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I understand you had a bit of an experience with this movie with a fellow moviegoer, and I kind of want you to tell
Yeah.
that story because I think it's hilarious.
Okay. So as we've established, this is not comparable at all to the typical pantheon of superhero movies that one would think of. It is very much its own thing, but that has not stopped people from trying all the same. So at the very end of the movie, person in the theater who was sitting near me when they were getting up to leave commented out loud to the person they were with that, well, I guess that's why Marvel movies are just better,
Whoa.
which felt like an opinion I think a lot of people will take away just because they might not understand what they're getting into. There's a reason that this one is listed as a crime genre first. And I think people might have gotten a wrong impression from the trailer
So,
just because the trailers get cut up to be more exciting.
yeah. What I feel the biggest weakness of this film going forward, and I'm not trying to be like too presumptuous, is that it seems like this movie's biggest thing holding its back is the title Batman.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that this is connected to a well established property like that, I do feel
Yep,
like it does set up an expectation almost.
absolutely does.
I'm seeing a lot of
So,
people on Twitter compare it to Batman Year One, which is like one of the best Batman stories of all time.
mhm.
Not going to fight you on that.
One
Um,
criticism I will give to it
mhm.
is that some of its action scenes are kind of stuck in the same slower, less in your face parts that the rest of the movie has. I think it would have been a welcome kind of like a deep breath when they get, because there's one particular action scene that they shown in a lot of the trailers that is a car chase that happens involving the Batmobile. And having that been shot more familiarly like a Marvel movie with a bit I think the audio is the part that really kills it for the most part for me, where you have the score coming up too much and the actual sounds of what's happening on screen taking sort of like a half of a backseat,
Mhm.
which works when you're in the brooding detective parts of it, where you want to have the orchestra and the score to kind of be like leading the emotions and the lines of thought that are happening. But when you have an action scene, letting the action take the front seat and just kind of do its thing would have been really nice as to just kind of like a tension relief kind of thing. Like, okay, action scene, this is more familiar for people, kind of reset at the midpoint and go on to the next part.
So, one big question I have now that I look at this, what is the consensus on this being a standalone movie versus this becoming a franchise?
It is definitely not going to be a standalone movie. So I
Okay.
can say that for sure. They very heavily lean into the idea of there being a sequel to it at the end. What that takes the form of, we'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't be surprised because I look it up real quick. In their little intro thing, they list a number of the movies that are coming up.
Hmm.
Let's see if I can go here. Movies, DC Comics. This is a terrible web page. I guess that's fitting for DC though, right?
Yes.
Do I have to really type upcoming? Okay, so the upcoming DC movies that we have are Black Adam, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, The Flash, and then a Shazam sequel. But they're very clearly leaning on this same sort of title structure for these introductory movies, where you have The Flash, Black Adam, The Batman.
Okay.
So we'll see how they go ahead and do it, but they give the appearance at least of structuring them all very similarly.
Interesting, good sir. Interesting.
Yep. I don't think there's much more I can say without giving away spoilers.
Do they at least allude to the next villain in the next movie? Like, do they pull?
Yes, absolutely yes.
How do you feel about this next villain?
I am very interested to see this take on it, but if they don't do it right, I don't know. I'm not going to say more than that. it should be. It has high potential given how different of a Batman this is than we've seen in the past in live action.
So be honest with me.
Mm.
Are we getting the fucking clown again?
It would appear that way. Not confirmed at all, um, but that is what it seems to be.
So in Batman Year One, they end it with alluding to the Joker showing up in the future. But Year One being a standalone story, we never see the Joker. Is that
Yep.
also kind of what they do at the end of this one?
Yep. There is an unseen character that is not identified, but it seems to allude pretty clearly to being there, that character being the Joker.
Okay, like I'm not upset with that, like,
Yep.
because I understand. I just feel like I liked what with no the home trilogy did with the Green Goblin. They saved him for like the last in the trilogy.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
would have preferred if they did like another Batman trilogy to have like the Joker at the very end of it all.
I wouldn't disagree. I given how this Batman is, it's definitely has the potential for being different enough to not be a problem.
Yeah.
Um, but it might also kind of have the problem of being always compared to the Dark Knight,
Mm-hmm.
which is some pretty big fucking shoes.
Yeah, The Dark Knight. I was rewatching bits and pieces of it the other day. That movie is just chef's kiss.
There's a reason it probably has thousands of hours talked about it just in shitty YouTube video essays alone.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, The Dark Knight is a fully explored movie. You can't say anything new
Yep,
about it.
pretty much.
Yeah.
It,
So,
it is the measure that other movies are compared to. It sets
unfortunately,
the bar for writing and portraying a villain.
yeah, there's a reason why Amazing Spider-Man 2 tried to rip it off so hard, which I'm still very upset about. Um,
Yep, yep, yep.
Honestly, I wanted a Mr. Freeze movie from this because that's a
I would love a Mr. I will say Mr. Freeze in this universe could work really well because this is a serious enough tone that you can have the nuance that his character has.
that's exactly why I thought he'd be perfect because like I like this interpretation. I would love a reinterpretation of Mr. Freeze because he's a
Hmm.
very underrated Batman villain. Because
Yep.
he's not really a villain. Well, he is, but you know what I mean. He has
It's
very
mixed. It's very gray,
yeah.
and this is a Batman that is grappling with how those shades of gray are impacting his own life.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely room for it.
Dang, very upset. And then I don't know if I could make like a little wish list of Batman villains I would like. I would also like a Clayface movie because we have not gotten a fucking Clayface movie. I want that horrifying monster in my life.
I really want them to bring in a female Batman villain
Yes, that too.
because we haven't gotten that in so long. I don't think maybe at all. Not since like the 80s, at least, in a live action Batman movie.
I
And it feels
almost
really long overdue.
yes, I almost said I want a Poison Ivy movie, but then I remember I
Hmm.
really like the design of Clayface and like how monstrous he is.
Yep.
If we want to keep this more grounded, totally do a Poison Ivy movie.
Yep. I agree. I think the way that they should structure this would be to have something like that, where the second movie in what would presumably be a trilogy would be a Poison Ivy movie that has because with the way that they have Catwoman in here, she's very much a prominent and important figure in Batman's life.
Yes.
So sort of leaning into that with a different dynamic could work really well, and then have it continue to build into a Joker appearance in the third movie.
That would work.
Yeah, because there's nothing that guarantees the order of these that are coming out. They're just teasing that in this world, Joker is a character that seems to exist.
Okay. That works.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't mind if they went more long Halloween for the next movie.
Mhm. I will say something that I don't. It's not really a spoiler, but it was something that, as a casual viewer, I was not aware of, and maybe this is different from how the comics portray it. I just don't know. This was news to me. This isn't a spoiler, I don't think, for anything involving the actual plot. But Martha Wayne, her maiden name is Arkham.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like a super important point in broader Batman stories or in the comics, but that seems like a big enough thing that I can't imagine they just made it up for this movie. But the fact that they said it at all hints to me that they're going to continue to explore that.
Yeah. I'm on the
Just
DC wiki trying to refresh my
mm-hmm.
memory because I do know there's something about that family.
Yeah, because they could have easily just had, oh, Martha was from another incredibly wealthy Gotham high society family, but they didn't. They very specifically said Arkham, which is the kind of thing that would trigger people's, neuron activation, for people who are in the know, that is an important word.
Turns on our dumb ape brains the same way that, seeing Doctor Strange in No Way Home turned on our dumb ape brains.
Yep, yep, yep.
Interesting. Okay. I like it. I like it. I can dig it like a spigot. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what else? I don't know. I don't know what else we can do without spoilers.
Yeah, I don't think there's much more that I can say without spoilers.
Okay. Here's a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
question.
yes.
Do they set up any other places in the DC universe, like Metropolis or anything like that?
No, this is very much contained to Gotham.
Okay. I don't mind it.
No. In BVS, is that supposed to have happened in Gotham, or is that Metropolis? Do you
Um,
know?
I believe it's Metropolis because like the first
Okay.
part of it takes place with the Man of Steel fight in
Yep.
Metropolis.
Yep, that makes sense.
I don't remember much about Batman versus Superman because like there's nothing to remember about that version of the movie I saw.
Yep. We'll have to wait and see how they do it. They could decide to. I think it'll probably be better if they do. If they just kind of hand wave the past DC movies and just go forward from here with like, this is how we're going to portray it from here on out. The past doesn't necessarily exist or isn't important. We're not trying to draw larger dialogue lines. We're drawing new ones.
At this point, the DC continuity for these movies is so
Yeah.
messy.
Yep.
It
Yep. And that's what I would agree with. To just kind of like ignore all of it because it is such a mess.
there's no point anymore. You're not going to get much more than like maybe a reference or two. I'm not certain at this point. I don't think we'll
I
ever.
will say,
Yes,
given the events that happened in like Justice League, it wouldn't make sense for this Gotham to exist in the state that it does, knowing that the events of Justice League are something that has happened in recent history. That would be tonally inconsistent with what they were showing.
I don't understand it, man.
Yeah. It's just kind of the weird thing because it was the same way with like Joker. It was such a different enough world that the events of Justice League would stand out as being wrong. It's not something that would happen in this universe. That's too out there in concept wise. And it's the same thing here. These are very humanly grounded individuals and characters and concepts. And having fucking aliens and space magic would be literally absurd. It would not make sense in the context that they're presenting.
I mean, a Batman detective trilogy would be very amazing, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how you could have Superman show up in that kind of
Right.
setting.
Like if you have Superman there, it just kind of negates anything else existing or needing to happen.
Now,
Like, oh, who cares if there's all these crime bosses and crime families if Superman can just swoop in and clean them up in 5 seconds?
yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I am excited to see where this goes. And DC, while you're at it, please make a good Superman movie while you're at it. Please.
Hmm. I want. I mean, it's not going to happen. We already have Black Adam confirmed as like the next DC movie that's going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So they're clearly not shying away from that kind of sci-fi. But I would love to get a Justice League that's just like grounded in humanity. Like I don't know how you do it. I don't know enough about DC to do it, but having the Dark Knight, or sorry, having the Batman be such a contrast to the big bodacious action of Marvel is really strong. It's a strong, good thing that should be celebrated, not having your nose turned up at it. It's different in its own thing. It's not trying to be Marvel, and that's what makes it good.
One thing I find incredibly interesting about this whole DC versus Marvel is that when they went too dark with BVS and Justice League, didn't quite work. Then they tried being Marvel, didn't quite work. And now
Mm-hmm.
they're doing these more intimate kind of noirish takes, and it's working. And I find that
Yep.
really interesting and cool.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the thing with BVS is that they could have had something dark, but then they just chose to ignore that and chase the Marvel action anyways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another thing I find um, particularly interesting is I don't know. We haven't acknowledged it in this whole thing when we're talking about like the rise in quality of these DC movies, and I'm kind of wondering why. But we haven't mentioned the Suicide Squad yet either.
It really, I think it's because it just feels so much like its own thing.
True, fair enough.
It's just so different. Even in the context of like the Marvel action superhero movies, it feels more, it really feels more Deadpool in a good way than anything else.
So it sounds like to me DC really played their cards too early with the whole shared universe thing when they were still trying to get their footing. And that
Mm-hmm.
makes this
Yep.
very hard continuity wise because obviously they don't want to acknowledge the bad movies with their good
Yep.
stuff. And now we have these movies that are doing much better and they're just kind of like sitting there. And DC's probably like wondering how the hell do we fit these all together now?
Yep.
I don't know. I'm interested. The Batman looks really good. I can't wait to see it.
Yep. Highly recommend seeing it, but don't take your kids.
I saw this guy on Twitter who took his son to it, and I'm like, dude, what?
Yeah. Like there's definitely going to be minors that are fine seeing a movie like this, but you have to know your kid,
Yeah.
right? This isn't a Marvel movie where it's going to be fine. There are definitely going to be children taken to see this movie that are going to be made upset by it because it is very mature in its concepts and just in general.
You know, I was talking to my stepmom a while back, and I was trying to figure out what my brother wanted for Christmas. And he's starting to get into art and like drawing and whatnot. My brother's significantly younger than me. So he's like at that tender age of like 12 and 13.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm like, yo, when I was that age, I started reading comic books. What kind of superheroes does he like? He might like, fucking seeing some cool art that he can practice drawing himself. And you know what my stepmom tells me?
So,
Batman.
mm-hmm.
And you want to know what was just happening around that time in comics?
What?
The first thing that came to my mind was that the Joker was ripping off people's faces and wearing them as a mask. So I said to myself, nope,
No, no, no.
nope, nope, no, no, no. Speaking of gritty noir esque superhero stuff, Daredevil is coming to Disney Plus on the 16th, and so
Is
is
it?
the rest of the Netflix shows.
I'll have to catch that for sure.
Yes, because if there's one thing I've campaigned on this show is more people need to fucking watch Daredevil and read One Piece. And no one ever fucking takes my suggestions, so what the fuck am I even doing anymore?
Sorry, what chapter is One Piece on?
1042.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, it's good. I cannot stress this enough, my
I
dude.
don't doubt that, but I don't have the time.
It took me 8 months to catch up. It was fine.
It only consumed 2/3 of a year. What do you mean it's too much?
Keep in mind, I was reading about 100 chapters a week, and then sometimes I had to take a break. But
Yeah.
okay, if I
No, I
if I can
believe it.
just like gush a little bit, there is
Yes.
nothing like reading One Piece and trying to catch up to it. It is the greatest ride I've ever had with reading anything in my life because there's
Hmm.
just so much. You get to go at your own pace. I highly recommend it. Is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
Because like I will say this, I was caught up before chapter 1000. It is much easier recommending someone 900 chapters of something rather than almost 10,050 chapters of something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's intimidating for sure.
Yeah, dude. No, I don't blame anybody because like one weird thing One Piece does, and I've never seen anything else do this. The chapter covers, like the covers before the chapter begins, will also tell a story on top of the other stories going on that you're reading in the chapter.
Nice.
Yeah. No, there's just so much to fucking One Piece, dude. You don't have a fucking chance of understanding it all, but just enjoy the ride. Um,
Reminds me a lot of like Rainbow Six Siege in the gaming sphere,
yeah.
where it's really good, but it's just so dense that to get caught up with the people who have spent years with it at this point, you just don't really have a hope of doing it unless you want to spend years with it also.
I've accepted that I will never know what's fully going on in One Piece, but I know what I'm invested in with One Piece, and I am there for that. And when the things that I do not fully understand are caught up, I at least know what their relevance is.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, but enough about One Piece. We were talking about the Netflix shows. So
Yes.
I've watched a majority of them. I didn't finish all of them. I watched Daredevil like so many times because it's so good. Um, I started Jessica Jones. Didn't get to finish that before it was taken off Netflix. I started Luke Cage. Did not finish Luke Cage. And I started Iron Fist. Did not make it past episode one. I started Defenders. Did not make it through the Defenders. I liked all the scenes with Matt Murdock in them.
Yeah, I'll be honest. The only one that I have any interest in seeing is gonna be Daredevil.
Yeah, no, it's Daredevil's good. That's all I have to say.
Yep.
Season one is perfect. Season two is very hit or miss. Like the first four
Yep.
episodes of season two, perfect. Then there's a really racist storyline written by a racist.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, it's not actually that racist, but when
Yeah.
you hear the
Okay.
backstory behind it, it's kind of racist. And then season three, perfect. Fucked up as it is. We also have Moon Knight coming out soon as well, don't we?
We do. I'm My general philosophy on the Marvel shows is that I only really plan to watch the ones that are going to have a larger impact.
Okay.
So, like, now that we know that Daredevil was brought in with the latest Spider Man, that's a much greater motivator for me to see it to understand the character
Mm-hmm.
because there's a good chance that they're gonna bring him back again compared to like Cage, which is seemed like kind of a one off in the TV show.
Quite possibly.
So like Moon Knight, I don't know, March 30th. Yeah, that's actually pretty quick.
Yeah, isn't it? Like I don't know what the time where the time went. Have you seen
Hmm.
some of the posters for Moon Knight?
No.
Okay. Um l- let me see if I can find the latest one. Yeah, this one. This one just goes hard and I don't know if that's Oscar Isaac in there. Um
I would assume it is. but I guess I don't know.
What's up?
I mean, I would assume it's him.
Yeah, but
Wouldn't it
like
be?
just
Oh
goes
yeah, that one.
that
Yeah,
just
yeah.
goes hard. Um,
So the problem for me is that I can't see that and not see the character Vigil from Rainbow Six.
really.
Let me pull up a picture here, and you'll be like, oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
because it's
yeah, yeah.
very similar. No, that's not the right one. Here, it's like the very much the same style. It's the mask more than anything.
Oh, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But looking at the other posters, they're pretty good. I do like the one with Oscar Isaac superimposed.
Yeah, I'm excited for this purely because Oscar Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a really good actor, and I think Moon Knight's a very interesting character for him to play.
Yeah. Depending on what else is out, I might see this, but I'm probably gonna wait until all of the episodes are available to stream and then just like do it all back to back and see how I vibe with it at that point, and if I actually finish it or not.
So the thing with this, and it gives me a lot of Daredevil vibes in the tone they're trying to go for,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if it's going to have the same meat to Daredevil because I
Yeah.
don't know. I think it has very high potential, but I don't know if Disney is going to be able to get the punches loaded, especially with a character like Oscar Isaac.
Yeah. I definitely wonder what they're gonna do to keep the stakes on par with what people expect.
Oh, there's not going to be that many stakes because Moon Knight is very much traditional, like street level. Um, I don't know. I'm excited. It definitely won't be like Loki levels of important where the multiverse is like shattered, but I await your Moon Knights. What do we have after that?
Or Marvel.
Yeah.
Um, let me pull up
Oh, we have Ms. Marvel after that.
what's coming up in Phase 4.
Oh, She-Hulk is also coming
God,
out
is this
too.
whole I thought this was like a bunch of different things for the different phases. No, this is the Phase 4 MCU wiki page
Oh no.
has 12. Oh my god, it goes into subsections.
No way.
That's pretty bad, yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, She-Hulk is apparently slated for earlier, but I don't know if any of these have actual dates yet outside of oh, what one was it? I thought there was one that we had an actual date for.
We have Moon Knight.
Oh, this is just the shows, not the movies. That's probably why. I'm thinking of Doctor Strange, I think. Because we have a date for Doctor Strange.
We do. I am very, very excited for Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm. I think it'll be interesting. I rewatched the first Doctor Strange last night with my parents because they don't have Disney Plus at their place because they still have terrible internet.
Okay.
Um, and they were wondering about it because they'd seen the trailers and they had like seen parts of it, but not the whole thing in one sitting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and seeing where they left the characters at the end of Doctor Strange, it particularly
Mordo.
Mordo, um, feels kind of tonally weird for where they're going with it. But I guess we'll have to see because they kind of left his character off on like a kind of neutrally villain kind of place,
Mm-hmm.
and how they presented him in the trailer doesn't give that same feeling.
Interesting.
So I'm not sure how they're gonna do that.
So my biggest problem with how they've handled Doctor Strange is kind of rudimentary, but
Mm-hmm.
the sheer distance between his two solo movies is just absolutely insane to me.
Right?
Because he's
It's
essentially
crazy.
had a lot of growth as a character from those two movies.
Yep. Particularly Endgame.
Yeah. Endgame was like his MVP moment.
Hmm. I guess it's as good a time as any to talk about the TV shows and how important they are to understanding what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, it's very strange. Um,
Like right now, I don't think Loki is super important, but WandaVision definitely is.
yes,
That's like, it seems to be at least a huge motivator for what Wanda's character is going to be in the next Doctor Strange movie. And I would argue probably most people don't have access to see WandaVision like they would a regular Marvel movie in theaters or just having it rebroadcast on TV.
you're right.
Like, can you even get a disc version of WandaVision?
No,
Probably not.
I think you used to be able to get like disc versions of like the Netflix shows.
You can. Interesting.
Oh, never mind then.
3 disc set. It's expensive, but it exists.
How much?
Oh, apparently this is just Walmart being dumb.
Oh,
Is there like Amazon? Yeah. What does Amazon have? Currently unavailable on Amazon, out of stock.
oof.
So it probably just sold out, limited run. There's some places that I would not necessarily trust that have it between like 10 and $15. Some Walmart seller has it for 56 though.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
No. There's been a lot of it's the kind of the problem with Walmart's doing it, Sears did it, where on their websites now they let uh not their own sellers, like not themselves, sell on their websites, trying to be like Amazon or eBay. And it gets really sketchy.
That sounds sketchy.
Because this is sold from some third party that has a 3.5 out of 5 star rating.
Why?
And Walmart is promoting them. 62% overall positive.
Again,
That's not good. And
no,
Walmart is promoting these people.
because Walmart wants money, dude.
I guess. I don't know. It's weird.
Why, yes. Yes, it is.
I think
Uh,
that's about it. That's all I have.
yeah, I didn't think we would get to the end so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now we just wait for Doctor Strange. You've got
Mm-hmm.
homework to do when Daredevil comes out.
Yes. Is there a date for that?
I'm pretty sure it's the 16th. So, like, we're like 2 weeks away.
Daredevil on Disney Plus. March 16th. Yep. Oh, Agents of Shield. I might try and watch like the first season of that too.
Why so?
I just like Agent Coulson's character.
Oh, wait, is he still? Yeah, he is in that.
Yep, he was. Because that was supposed. I'm pretty sure that was like the series where it's like, actually, he's not dead. This is what he's been doing.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the character's portrayal, and if they're able to capture some of that in a TV show, I think that could be fun.
Mm-hmm. So I do like how Marvel is doing this thing with their legacy content that maybe not was done by Marvel Studios, but
Hmm.
how do I put this? Where
It's
everything
nice
is,
having everything in one spot.
yeah. I was going to say canon to an extent.
Yep.
Yeah. Cuz like obviously they worked with Sony to get the Spider-Man back. Um there's a lot of talks about some certain X-Men things in Doctor Strange. Um and now here they are bringing the Netflix shows to Disney Plus and, bringing Charlie Cox back as Daredevil,
Mhm.
which
Yep.
I think when you have the same actor, you have the same like show on your platform, that kind of hints that Daredevil, Netflix Daredevil is going to be canon.
Mhm. Yep. As far as I know, none of it is explicitly not canon.
Yeah. Did you see Hawkeye?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So you know about Wilson Fisk too, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's also going to be very important in this Daredevil show because that's where he comes from.
Hmm.
So the gang's all back. Best show.
Hmm. Hmm. Yep.
Now I need to get Disney Plus from somebody that's not my girlfriend so I can watch Daredevil again.
Maybe I'll steal mine. We'll see.
Ooh, hell yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about, my dude?
Nope. Should be good.
Okay. Well, I'm the infamous Orion. I've been a Schmo.
I'm Cairo. I've been a Schmo.
And this has been The Two Schmo Show.